What's up, Total Water Squad? I'm Big P, and I'm streaming out some Marmite Pee-can-Scream for Savory Creams 4. It's a brown butter Marmite ice cream with candied pecans in it. I made it for my ex-roommate's birthday because he used to eat Marmite when we were in college. But it might have actually been Vegemite, but close enough. And he loved the candied pecans in the Mint Julep Ice Cream that I made, so that's why I put them as a mix-in. And then the brown butter is just because people, put butter and Marmite on toast. Also, I made my first loaf of sourdough bread for this because I wanted to serve this on toast. One last thing, the name Marmite Pee-can-Scream is based on the name of the band They Might Be Giants. Do you get it? If you do, you should have your head examined. I might make a song for it, and if I do, I'll put it out as a short. Let's get into the pee. We're gonna start off by browning some butter. So put 26 grams of unsalted butter into like a saucepan or like a pan or whatever. And we're gonna cook that, and some water is gonna evaporate, and it should get down to about 20 grams when we're done with it. But don't pay too much attention to that. Heat the butter on the stove on like medium to medium high-ish heat, and just keep stirring it until it gets browned. But once it melts, we're going to add some skim milk powder, because that's just gonna give us a more intense brown butter flavor, because it's just those milk solids. So we're adding more milk solids to it, and we're toasting more milk solids. So measure out 15 grams of skim milk powder, and then add that to the pan once the butter is melted, and stir it in. And we're just gonna keep browning this until it's like a golden brown. If yours like absorbs the butter and turns into like a sheet, that's fine. Just keep trying to brown it, and it won't brown as easily, like it'll be uneven, but that's fine. So just do the best you can and then take it out of the pan once you think it's ready. For me, that was around here because I was going to leave this in the pan for a bit, so it was gonna keep getting heated. So just look at in the next shot, you'll see exactly how brown it got. But once it starts browning, it gets browner pretty quickly. So keep an eye on this. It only takes a few minutes, and do a lot of stirring so that it browns evenly. This is what mine looked like. I wouldn't go too much further than this because you don't want to burn it. But we're looking for 35 grams to be in this. You don't have to pay attention to that really. I was just measuring so that I could tell you the right things to do. But we're looking for 35 grams because we used 15 grams of skim milk powder, and we used 26 grams of butter, but we were expecting 6 grams to evaporate, so down to 20. So that would be 20 grams of butter, 15 grams of skim milk powder. Add those together, that's 35. It doesn't have to be completely exact though. If you're measuring by weight, you're already doing great. That's a shirt. Maybe it's not a great idea to talk about weight on a shirt. I don't know. All right, now we're getting into the main mixing of the base. So in a saucepan, we're gonna add 125 grams of sugar. But later I'm going to be adding molasses. If you don't have blackstrap molasses, instead of adding 125 grams of sugar now, just add 95 grams of sugar. And then later, when I add the molasses, you're going to add light brown sugar instead. Now I'm going to add my stabilizers. You can skip these if you want to. You don't have to put them in. If you don't put them in, your ice cream will just have less body and it won't last as long in the freezer. But that's fine. You'll still make ice cream and it'll be great. I'm going to add 0.2 grams of lambda carrageenan, 0.4 grams of guar gum, and 0.8 grams of locust bean gum. If you want to use xanthan gum instead of the stabilizers that I use, you could use 1.2 grams of xanthan gum. If you're using stabilizers, you want to stir it up really good at this point because these will clump up in liquid, so you want to mix them with other dry ingredients, and for that we're doing sugar. First, so that it disperses the stabilizers throughout the sugar. Next, add 1.5 grams of salt. You could do this before you stir everything, whichever works. I usually intend to add it earlier, but I always forget. So I just added it and stirred it up again. You don't really have to stir it up again. Then add 425 grams of whole milk. This is the first wet ingredient that I'm putting in, and I'm doing this because some of the other ones are sticky, and I don't want any of the stabilizers to stick to those and then clump up once everything else is dissolved, and I think it's just better to do it this way. So pour in that milk and then stir it up and try to get it a little bit dissolved. You won't be able to get it all dissolved, but just do the best you can. Honestly, not even the best you can. Just stir it up so that there's not a hunk of powder at the bottom of this. Oh boy, now we got the light corn syrup. All right, we're getting 50 grams of that. Light corn syrup. All right, now it's time for the molasses. If you have blackstrap molasses, use 3 grams of it. If you don't have blackstrap molasses, you should have lowered the white sugar earlier to 95 grams, and you should right now add 33 grams of light brown sugar. Brown sugar is just regular sugar with molasses mixed into it. So You're just basically doing the same thing as me, but with different steps. After that, I added 30 grams of refined coconut oil. This is gonna add fat, which is gonna make this a lot creamier. You could skip the coconut oil if you wanted to. I just tried putting it in the calculator, and it says you would have a little, slightly too much milk fat and slightly too much milk solids in the recipe, but just barely outside of the range, so it'll be fine. The calculator is less of a rule and more like guidelines, really.
Agreed.
All right, Postman, good business. We're on the Marmite step. Marmite, if you don't know, is like a yeast extract. It's syrupy, it's got some other spices in it, but it mainly tastes yeasty. We're adding 15 grams of Marmite. It might be best to add it to a different bowl first and then use like a spatula, like a silicone spatula, to scrape it into the mixture, just because it's kind of hard to measure it like this with it like dripping slowly. Oh man, I forgot to add the skim milk powder and butter until now. It might be better to add that before you add the milk when it's just the dry ingredients, but after you stir the dry ingredients. I'll put a note on the screen back earlier in the video. That's all of the ingredients that we're gonna add before heating this. So just give it a stir and bring it over to the stove and put it on medium to medium high heat. We're gonna add some more ingredients after this, but we just don't want those ones to get hot, or we also want the cream later to cool it down. So if you're using my stabilizers, you need to get this mixture up to 185 degrees Fahrenheit, because that is the temperature that locust bean gum hydrates at. If you don't get it that high, the locust bean gum won't hydrate and it just won't work, or at least just won't work as well as it could. But 185 degrees is a little bit before simmering. So if yours starts to simmer, then you've made it to 185 degrees, and take it off the heat then. If you're not using my stabilizers, so if you're using no stabilizers or xanthan gum, then you don't need to get it to 185 degrees, but you should try to get it up around there, just so that you're having around the same amount of evaporation as I am. That shouldn't matter too much though. As long as you just heat it up enough so that it's like steaming, that should make sure that everything gets dissolved and you're at least getting a little bit of evaporation. You probably noticed on the stove there was a lot of stuff in the mixture floating around, and then by the end it was like pretty smooth and just like one color. If you're not using stabilizers, you want to heat it up until at least that happens, because that's just like all of the syrups and everything melting and just being incorporated into one thing. Take it off the heat when you got it hot enough, and then pour it into a different bowl. We're gonna add our cream and vanilla. So I added 320 grams of heavy whipping cream, and that's gonna cool down the mixture and get it ready for the vanilla extract, because you don't wanna get that hot. Once that's mixed in, I added 10 grams of vanilla extract. And the first time I made this is where I stopped. I chilled it overnight after this, but then there was like some clumps of the browned skim milk powder in it. So when I made it again, I blended it after adding the vanilla extract with an immersion blender, and then I strained it. It looks like I didn't film the blending, but I did film the straining. I don't think it's super important to blend and strain this ice cream, but you can if you want to, but if you want to skip that, it's probably going to be fine. You might have some clumps of skim milk powder, but they'll be like hydrated and everything. It'll just look like a clump there. I don't know. I'll show you here how much I actually do strain out. But I mean, I guess most of it doesn't get strained out, because when I blend it, it kind of breaks up all the clumps. So it mostly just all gets through the strainer. And it's fine if you push some of those brown spots through. That's, if they're small enough to fit through the strainer, then they're good. And those are the browned milk solids, so they're super flavorful, so you do kind of want them in there. Scrape anything off that may be sticking to the bottom of the strainer, because that's also strained, and then cover this and leave it in the refrigerator overnight to chill. While that's chilling, we can work on the candied pecans. You want to measure out 150 grams of pecans, unsalted, and I do 160 just because I want a little bit of a snack. And we're gonna toast these at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 8 to 10 minutes. I do these in my toaster oven. You could do this in a regular oven. I also break the pecans up before I toast them, because it's much easier to do that when they're not hot. So I buy pecan halves, and then I just pretty much just try to break them in half. While those are toasting, I get my saucepan and I add 70 grams of sugar, and then I add 30 grams of water. And then I bring that over to the stove and I start heating it up. If you accidentally add too much water like I did, that's completely fine. It's just going to take a little bit longer for the water to evaporate because we're going to evaporate all of this water anyway. So I just have that on like a medium heat, medium to medium high. And I'm gonna measure out my butter and salt now. We're gonna add these at the end of the cooking, but we wanna have them ready because it's gonna move a little bit fast at that point. So I'm getting 20 grams of unsalted butter and 1 gram of salt. And then when the pecans are done, you should probably be smelling them. You can add them into the saucepan with the sugar and water. And then stir them around just to get everything coated. And at this point, if you're not on medium-high heat, you should maybe turn it up to medium-high. The syrup is gonna boil and then all the water is gonna evaporate. And then it's gonna turn really grainy and there's gonna be like crystals, like sugar crystals in there. And then after that, those crystals will melt again and then become like glossy, like a caramel coating. And then they should be like a deep amber at that point. And you just cook it until it is a deep amber if it's not. And then we'll be done. But yeah, when you get to that grainy stage, don't worry, you haven't ruined it. That's supposed to do that. When it is in the grainy stage, I like to every now and then just kind of let it sit for like 10 to 20 seconds and just get like that bottom layer like in contact with the pan so it starts to melt the sugar a little bit faster. And then I stir it all up and then I kind of let it sit again for another like 10 to 20 seconds. I feel like that direct contact with the pan really gets the process started, like jump started kind of, in terms of melting the sugar again. And then when you stir it up, that melted sugar then gets on top of the mixture and then it heats it, kind of melts down and heats it from the top while the pecans at the bottom are getting heated by the bottom as well. That's just what I've been doing and it seems to be working out. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. Around here is where I called it. I figured this was good enough. I said to let the sugar melt again and then bring it to a deep amber color. Every time, as soon as I melt it, it's already at a deep amber color. So I don't know, but once you get to that point, add your butter and salt in and then stir it all up. I may have stopped cooking my pecans a little early, but I figured that was fine because I'm adding this butter and salt and it's gonna keep cooking. And that hot fat from the butter is going to finish the job. Oh, also, I did turn the heat off right before adding the butter and salt. So that's why I'm holding the pan up in the air because the stove is still gonna be hot if you have, an electric stove. And when you're stirring this butter in, it's going to steam a good bit because of the water and fat in the butter. I also got a silicone mat ready before doing this. If you don't have that, you can use parchment paper. We just want that ready so that we can dump these out onto it to let them cool. These are going to be very hot and very sticky, so don't touch them with your hands because they'll burn you and they'll keep sticking to you. So once you have them laid out, then try to like move them around a little bit, get them a little bit separated, and then let them cool for like 15 to 20 minutes. And at that point, they should be cool and you can break them up and put them into a container. I just use a deli container and put that in the freezer so they're as cold as possible when we add them to the ice cream. When I say break them up, I mean like just separate the clumps. They'll probably be like sticking together and stuff. So you don't want any big clumps, so just separate those. All right, so now we're pretty much ready to go. So the next day we're ready to churn. We take the mixture out of the fridge. At this point, I've had my ice cream maker turned on for about 10 minutes and cooling. I got a new ice cream maker recently and I'm still trying to figure out the best way to use it. So that's what I'm doing. It's got a compressor. If you just have a regular bowl that you put in the freezer type thing, then just do it the way that you're supposed to do it. And churn it for however long you're supposed to churn it. But before you do add it to the ice cream maker, you should stir it all up and make sure it's all combined and nice and emulsified and everything. So there's not like any like water or fat like sitting up at the top. Mine's been churning for about 23 minutes now and it looks like it's almost done. So I'm gonna take my pecans out of the freezer and I'm going to add them as it's churning. So this is like the last 2 minutes of churning. And I just reserved a few of the candied pecans just to use as kind of like a garnish-ish type thing, just to put it at the top of the pints. You don't have to do that though, you can just add those. About 2 minutes later, I stop the ice cream machine and I start scooping, start loading my containers. I got about 2.5 pints out of this. So if you have those like long rectangular containers for ice cream, I have 2 of those. Those are about 1.3 quarts. So this would probably be pretty much perfect for that. You want to freeze the ice cream now for like at least 6 hours. I usually do overnight. And then it's ready to eat. So here's the taste test. Here's that sourdough bread that I talked about before. This is the first time I've ever made it, and I think it came out pretty good. I mean, it's not the best sourdough bread that anybody's ever made, but it's pretty good. And I'll have a video on that. I probably already have a video on that. It's probably out before this one. But I toasted it in the toaster oven. It doesn't really look too toasted, but yeah, it is. You can tell by the butter melting. So yeah, that's some salted butter that I'm putting on there. And then let's get a look at the ice cream. Oh, I think that looks pretty good. Wowee. Let's see how it scoops though. It scoops really nicely. I filmed this in slow motion and then sped it up because I didn't want to sit through all the slow motionness of it. Parts of it I put in slow motion like that. Yeah, it scoops real nice and easily. I messed up putting it on the bread, but that's fine because you can just put it back on the bread. And then once I did get it back on the bread, I decided to add some more candied pecans. That first one landed pretty weirdly, but yeah, I was trying to make this as pretentious and weird as possible because it is pretentious and weird. Marmite ice cream on toast is what I'm talking about. After adding the pecans, I added some flaky sea salt, and I made sure to scatter some around the plate as well, just to make it look like some pretentious thing. You can see that even though the ice cream is sitting on some hot toast, it's not melting, so that's pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of that. The stabilizers help with that, but so does the general composition. I think the coconut oil does a lot to help with that as well, because coconut oil is solid at like room temperature. So I took a taste of just the ice cream there just to give it a taste, even though I've already tasted this before. I just wanted to kind of lie to you guys. But yeah, this was great. I gave this to a lot of people, like not on the bread, but just as ice cream. And everybody liked this. Everybody was expecting to not like it and then liked it. And it seems like it's some people's favorite now. I've never had toast with Marmite, but I have tasted the Marmite out of the jar. And I can definitely taste the Marmite coming through on this. So I'm not sure if this tastes like how Marmite tastes like when it's on toast with butter. But the flavor definitely does come through, and it's delicious this way. With the ice cream on top of the sourdough bread, it kind of gave me like a little bit of like a marshmallowy taste, which I don't know if that's what Marmite on toast would taste like at all, but that's what I was getting when I was eating this. But when I eat the ice cream on its own, it doesn't taste marshmallowy. I gotta say, I think this is another successful savory cream. I think all the savory creams have been kind of great. The tomato basil soup one, maybe not so much. It wasn't terrible, but I won't say it's great. But the caramel brownie down tahini sesame miso street, that one is maybe my favorite. I don't know. And then the butterscotch, what was that called? Bacon Me Up butterscotch pea cake. That one's great as well. And then this one is just another unexpected, just a banger. If you've made it this far, consider becoming a member of the Toilet Water Squad by subscribing or liking the video, that is. And if you have any ideas for any savory creams or any type of ice cream, maybe a cocktail cream or any type of water ice or Italian ice or whatever, let me know in the comments. Ta-ta, Toilet Water Squad.